Okay, well, hello. It's June 1. And oh my lord, there's a lot of things that have been going on in the news. Most recently, the House of Representatives have passed the the bill to increase the debt limit, and the Republicans gained some of the points that they wanted, and the Democrats got the limit increased for the U.S. government, which is like it's like going to your Visa account and asking them to increase your credit limit from $3 trillion to $4 trillion, or something like that. Anyway, it has to go to the House to get approved, and they got it approved. With the resounding yeses. So now the bill goes to the Senate, and they review it, and and then it gets complicated on what happens next. And I can't actually tell you what that is. If they amend it, then it has to go back to the House. So there is a technique that they can use with amendment and modifications so that it wouldn't have to go back to the House. And that's the part I don't quite understand. And it's in the Senate's hands right now. So we should get an explanation of that, over the next couple of days, which of course I'll be watching, very carefully. So, and then let's take a look. I've got a whole bunch of, here's a picture of our leader, former president, while he's leaving he's getting back into Trump Tower, I believe, the picture. And this one, he doesn't look very happy because he's going in to be formally indicted, with the judge and pleading not guilty and all that stuff. And then he comes back. Then he comes back, and there he's waving to the crowd of onlookers, surrounded by Secret Service agents. As a former president, he gets Secret Service protection 24/7 with a number of agents. And in his case, he has a lot of agents because of, his notoriety and, the crazies out there trying to get him and so forth. So there we go. So that's why he's waving. Anyway, let's shrink that down. Here's a friend of mine, associate friend, is buying a Model Y, and he's been informed, he got a VIN number. So, when you order it online, then you wait, the 6 weeks or so for the system, the Tesla system to come back to him and start fabricating the car. And then when they start fabricating, the car comes out pretty quick. This is the computer board of the new hardware uh, version 4. Let's see. Here's the two of them, which you can see. The top one is the new one, and the bottom one is the old one. So you have, different placings for these are coolant that circulates in here, and the connections themselves are different. So Tesla is pretty much saying that you can't upgrade from 3 to 4. So my friend is trying to figure out what's incorporated in his car, and it's coming out of the Texas plant. And these exciting news: Model Y are now shipping with hardware 4. Just went through the delivery lot to see, and found a couple. Here are some photos I got of the cameras on a brand new red Performance Y, all-wheel drive Model Y. The lot is filled with new cars awaiting delivery. So he's showing the new cameras, which you can see on this is the 3 cameras that shoot out of the windshield, and this is the one that's like on the side of the car. Oops. I expando this. You see this thing right near the wheel? That is a port for a camera, and here it is. There's a close-up of the lens, and it has like a red. This is the one on the windshield. It like pulsates. I guess it's focusing on different things, interacting with the computer. But it's a very high definition camera. All of them are. They're at least 5 million pixels each, and there are 8 of them surrounding the car, and a high definition, I believe, a Phoenix radar, which we'll have to look up and see what that is. Which I will do one day. So here's the actual tweet, the Twitter that got sent. Exciting news, you see, and that came right off Twitter on May 25th. This is June 1st, so it's a week ago. At 1:58 p.m. he posted this. And so this is how I picked it off my system. The cameras, and then this is the new computer, I believe. Let's see. I think this is the new one, yeah. Yeah, that's the new one. We can go here and look at the new one and the old one. And the new one has the coolant in and out real close together. This is the old one, and this is the new one up on top. And the other notable thing is you see the connections down here. This is the old one. You see they're all sticking out like that. Well, on the new one, they're all coming out, in a more centralized way, without protruding, on this cover. And some are video inputs, outputs, something going like to the dashboard of the car. Look at this. This is an output. That's a HDMI input output. I don't know what these two are. And these two could be, well, I don't know what the rest of them are. Let's put it that way. Someday, somebody will sit down with an engineer from Tesla, and they'll tell them, what's the ins and outs of that. So my friend is in this quandary. Should he, So what I did is this came, this is all right off the internet, so it's already published. So I'm not breaking news here, other than the fact that I've accumulated this stuff and put it in one place so you can see it. So now, if you apply, let me get this water bottle out of the way. If you apply just the, so this is Tesla in transit to Burbank, California. So when you order something and you're going to buy it, it goes on a listing. They're actually advertising, but it's sold. Now, in the event that you don't close, then it becomes available for anyone else to get right away. So you can see down here, the seller is Tesla and the advertiser is Tesla. And this is a May 25th. So here's, when you look at the system, it's a 2023 new. The price is $50,990. The odometer says 3 miles. The number in the United States is 11. And in black interior, autopilot with HW4. And that's the configuration you want, HW4, hardware version 4. And the hardware version 4 means all the cameras are 5 megapixel cameras, as opposed to the other cameras, which were 1 megapixel cameras. And he decided that's just not enough detail for it to accurately watch the traffic and things going around. So they upgraded all the cameras, and they added a new high definition radar in the front under the license tag area. See, in transit to Burbank, California, 5-seat version. The 19-inch Gemini wheels. The color is pearl white. Number in California is 3. Made in Texas. Sold. So that's because the guy ordered it. And when it shows up, he's given, the delivery, come get it. And if you refuse it, for some reason, then this becomes immediately available for sale to someone else. And they got a line of people waiting. So it's not like it's going to be sitting on a lot for any period of time. So the question is, how do you get a hardware version 4 car? And he likes white. So they're putting him in white cars and red cars. Anyway, so that's what I sent my friend. He said, "Do you have proof?" There's proof. This is like a dealer listing. I don't know actually how to get this. I've never seen this. It's not a screen that comes up on Tesla. This is a new screen that's in some kind of a dealer network, which I'm not a member. There's another story. So Giga Texas becomes a manufacturing innovation hub. The vehicle code showed that the factory had begun production of Model Y with hardware version 4. On Thursday, the first Model Y cars were spotted fitted with the distinctive red hardware 4 cameras. showing on the front. So that's interesting. And that shows in these photos. Like here, they have a red background of some sort. So that's the imager inside, behind this lens. This is one of the little cameras that's facing the side of the car. There's like 4 of these. They got 3 other. Let's see how many cameras up front. Looks like 3 cameras up front. If we do expand on this, see that? But they have a distinctive red background. My cameras don't look like that. I have a Model Y that was manufactured on June 11th, 10th or 11th, something like that. But 2022. So I've had the car 2 years. 2021. I've had the car 2 years. Because this is there's the 2. So anyway, when my car comes up, another when our lease is due on our personal car here, around February, March, I'll get on the Tesla site and just see what the delivery date is on new Model Y, which I'm inclined to get. And over the next year, we'll have time to look at what's going on in the internet and so forth. Yeah. So that's my story there. This is family pictures. Going through. They had a series on, the most popular weapons in World War II, and which ones our government, had bought and purchased for, the armed services, and this was a hot model right here. Stainless steel. Let's see, do I have a caption on one of those? So this is a Kimber LAPD M1911 -A1 45 caliber pistol. This is another one that the government ordered. And you notice the external hammer. I have the Glock Model 45, which is actually a 22 caliber. It's a 9mm, a standard 9mm cartridge, which is, it did all kinds of shooting tests, and the 9mm is not quite as powerful as the 45. The 45A APC, which has a bigger slug and the muzzle velocity is slower, whereas the 9mm has a smaller slug, about 136 grams, I think it is. Which is The size of your pinky. That's the size of the slug. Um, but it's shooting forward with a muzzle velocity of like 1,300 feet per second, which is, you're dealing with the speed of sound when you shoot, with something that's coming out of there that fast. And it, it gives a punch. You hit your shoulder with something like that, and your arm is going to be out of service. It may not blow it. The ACP-45 may blow it off, but the model definitely do some damage. If you hit your target. So I'm surrounded with 9mm. Every chance, not every chance. I often buy, several hundred rounds of 9mm, just to have them. Because someday, something may happen, in this country with, our government is becoming so socialistic. And if they win another election in 2024, there may be, I think because there's such a powerful negative force currently that it could produce a civil war. So, then everything changes. Oh my God, I can't imagine what would happen in that case. But then you got armies running around, and you get people that are for it and people that are against it, and we're just a residential building here, but we would be in such an event armed and dangerous. No one's going to bust into this apartment without. There can be several bodies at the front door, and it's not going to be ours. Anyway, that's an unimaginable situation, but I'm not going to be vulnerable. They just blow up the whole damn building, and that's fine. Anyway, so moving right along. I can see up there on our little, what do you call it, that they're discussing how many candidates may actually be in the race. We got 4 now. So the more that builds up, this is, anyway, moving right along. This is, a debate on what the camera configuration is going to look like with that telescopic pyramid arrangement that it has for the, let's see if I can find that. There it is. So this is the camera system that's going to be in the Model 15. iPhone 15. So the light comes in. This one on the left is just one of the cameras. That has a fixed focal length and aperture. So light goes through there, and this is the lens system, all sandwiched when you push this back down. The other camera is the one on the right, where the light comes down through here. There's a plate covering the opening, glass plate, and it goes down, it hits the pyramid, and then directs the light. 99.9% of the light. This is a polished prism. I don't know what a material. It could be a high-grade glass. They haven't discussed the prism material that I'm aware of, but you can see as I expand it. So this this one to the right. Light hits the prism, shoots laterally right across here, and then these lenses will operate to change the focal length. And the question is it going to be 6x or it can be 10x? It just depends on how much room is in there. And will the first version of this be 6x, and maybe the iPhone 16 would be the 10x version? Yeah, but this year will be the first year to have the prism telescopic lens, so that way there's nothing protruding, on the back of the camera, which I left in the kitchen. He usually sits right here, but it's not here today. Okay, so that's the exciting news on the iPhone 15. And the question is, here's a little memorabilia. This Maryland, this February, March 2019. And we are sitting there. I can see my camera. Oops. And it's a Canon. And I got a separate sound thing hooked up, so you can hear all the. But it's a very directional microphone, so you don't hear sounds from the side. So if you're in a crowd scene, you can point the camera at someone, and you can hear them very clearly, and the crowd gets blocked out by the engineering of the microphone itself. Marilyn's holding on to her iPhone there. She's got her camera. She's got a little hat on. And there's a crowd. This is in Delray Beach. So because we have press passes, we end up on this side of the blockade, and we're at the pretty much at the beginning of the parade. And it goes on and it goes up, on the bridge that goes over, coastal. And there's Marilyn with her camera, ready to take pictures. And let's see. Yeah, here's some paintings. Talking about, some people or some things traveling in time zones. And here's a guy with an iPhone, or a phone. It looks like an iPhone. And these guys are talking to each other. And and this painting was done in 1937. So in 1937, what kind of a device could that be in his hand? That's the question. And it's very suspicious. And here's, another painting that was done several hundred years ago. And here again, they have this device. What could that be? So that's what that's all about. I don't have any answers to that. There we go. So this is the 15 that's coming out. We have a 14, and these. Let's see. So the 15 is going to have this kind of a screen, 6.7 inch, and the 16 Ultra is 6.9 inches. Now, that's what that discussion is about. There's CAD pictures, computer-aided design pictures of here's Elon Musk having dinner in I think this is Singapore or Shanghai. Yeah, Shanghai. Sorry. This is Jimmy giving advice to. There we go. The lady in the middle is like in charge of marketing for a restaurant that we're taking pictures of their food and their cocktails. So this is the camera that I've set up on a tripod, so they can produce the dishes and place them, get them wiped off exactly so they can show off their dishes, their concoctions. And I'm showing them how I'm focusing, and you can see the actual image of, because it's a mirrorless camera, so you can see the image on the LCD on the back of the camera as you snap the shoot. And then you can arrange the food, and I can tell them move this way, move it that way, back, on, change the lighting. Maybe have a little flash involved. So, and let's see. This is my daughter with two granddaughters that live in the Kansas City area. That's Robin in the middle. And then Marilyn snapped this shot with my indoor plants that are growing. I mean, I got a whole bunch of pots, and here's a miniature banana, a Cavendishi banana tree. Yeah, it's the first time I've ever seen a miniature banana. I mean, it was like, when I got it, it was like 6 inches tall, and it's grown huge. But has not outgrown the the shelf. It's not overtaken. It fits right in there. And this right here, in the middle, above my head, is a beautiful Dieffenbachia. It has a variegated leaf with a lot of white in the leaf. The early leaves were more green, and as the plant matures, the leaves look like this, which are very attractive. It almost looks like it's a painting. But in the early stages, the leaves have more chlorophyll, so that it's building up energy inside the plant. And then as it grows older, the leaves need less chlorophyll to feed the plant, so they don't have chlorophyll in the cells in the leaves if you dissect the leaf. I need to go this way. So, and this is the leaf of the money tree. I got a money tree right behind me. It's a big one. It grows almost, it's about 8 inches to the ceiling. And then here's their two cats. One is a black girl cat, and this tuxedo cat. Oops. So they're very friendly. Look at the whiskers on this guy. He's my lion cat. Kino. I call him Kino. and this is Kenya, Keyna. There are two brands of coffee in Africa. It's African coffee. Oops. So that's how we name them. All our animals that we've had, dogs and cats, we've named after coffees. Mocha and latte were the names of two miniature pinchers that we had. All right, what's going on here? Here's a meteorite, an asteroid. And the interesting thing of this is this asteroid has a moon, which rotates around the thing in an orbital. This is a rather big guy. It's 30 kilometers in length, 30,000 meters. So that's a big one. In the asteroid business, when you're talking with big, powerful telescopes, they measure the distances in kilometers, which is the international standard, as opposed to the USA standard, which uses feet, inches, feet, and miles. The European system uses kilometers. Anyway, the robotic spacecraft named Galileo, as you can see on the written words there, is en route to Jupiter. But in 1993, it encountered and photographed two asteroids, which you can see in the image above. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, this is not a new picture, but it's newly being published, and I tracked it online somewhere in my readings. Let's see. This is more stories. There's a lot of talk about, this is a dashboard, because of Tesla having that big, screen in the middle of the car. A lot of these guys now in the car business have designed these screens all across, with the paneling of the car, which is really quite nice, I think. And it's all touch sensitive, so you don't have any buttons to wear out and so forth. It's all software controlled. That's the name of the business. And here's another hardware 4. And it's just, these cars are just popping up. And you can tell by looking at the cameras. They're different kind of cameras. And above this wheel, there's a camera mount right there. That looks the same. So I can't tell what the port's on the back. The license plate it's either covered up or they have one in the back window somehow. But this has 21-inch wheels, which there's no rubber. It's so. It's like that's the kind of tire you want when you're going 150 miles an hour. But who the hell wants a tire like that running around town? You hit a bump, the tire goes flat. So you have to be very careful with the flat tire business. So I won't get the performance package. I'd love to, because of the other ingredients that the performance package has, like the brakes and the fact that it has that wheel. I like that wheel, but I don't like 21-inch wheels because that leaves no room for rubber. And so I guess personal. Here's my resume. That's down here is the cover of the book I wrote. Principles of Digital Photography and Post-Image Processing. In other words, Photoshop or Photo Express, which is a really neat application that is designed for the iPhone and the iPad. And 10 years ago, when digital was relatively new, I used to fill those classes. Now today, you put an ad in the paper, you get like maybe 4 or 5 people. Whereas 10 years ago, you get 45 people instead of 4 or 5. Yeah. Anyway, so that's my public bio. It's all over the internet. We get over 3,000 hits a day on 416-1100. That's where I house all my photographs in that site. This is a photo that was taken by one of the newspapers that came into my class. And over here is Marilyn. This is Jimmy. And there's Daniel. Number 3 son. Dialogue there. You can read that when you see it actually printed. Florida Atlantic University. I've been teaching there since 2003 when I published the book with Pearson Education, which is good. It's one of that's the best, the largest publisher, educational publisher in the world. And so I didn't get published by the Okefenokee Press. It was Pearson. And both editions, the second edition too, also. So it was good. I have a second book, which I'm working on, which I don't know if this is Principles of Forensic Digital Photography, which is, because right now, all the police departments have digital cameras, and they're taking digital images. So there's a whole new, system of things that you deal with forensic digital photography, and the way that you store the images and the way you preserve them and make sure there's a chain of custody, and then there's the image editing that one can do, that the prosecutors would do to show, certain features of the crime scene that, you want to deliver, to the in the court setting. And at this time, I had the DCS 560 camera, which is a 6 million pixel imager within Canon's EOS 1B professional body, which is quite a. That was a partnership between Canon and Kodak, who has manufactured the digital imaging source, which replaces film. Today you have, I have a 45 million pixel imager right now in a Canon camera, and the imager, the actual thing that substitutes for the film, is 45 million pixels in resolution, which is huge, And, so it's the R5 camera, and Marilyn has the R1 camera, which is a 30 million pixel. That's not chump change either. camera sizes are almost identical. You wouldn't know one to the other if it didn't have the R1 and the R5 on the front. They don't actually have R1. It's just an R. And then they came out with R5, R3, R10, all subsets of basically the Model 1 or the Model 5. One is like the R10, I think is 16 megapixels with a slightly smaller frame, like the APC cameras. Some news sources have, APC as the, selected image when they publish. And if they get different, sized pictures, they got to diddle with them to get them, to comply with the standard, the APC standard that they adopted years ago. And they don't want to spend the money to, adopt a variety of different imagers. So anyway, that's why they came out with the R10. Plus, it's rapid shooting sports camera. It shoots, 24 frames per second, I think, which is almost like a movie. Our present day movies, in the movie theaters, is 24 frames a second, which is amazing to me because I don't really notice any flicker. But they should have, it should be 30 frames a second, but they haven't gone to 30 frames a second for some reason. They're sticking with the 24. Maybe it's economy. It's all it's all digital. When when Movico, our favorite Cinemax theater in Boca Raton, used to be Movico, they deliver the images over the internet in a file, in a secure locked file that gets sent to the over online to Movico. All the movies get sent that way. There's no more cans of 36 millimeter film anymore. It's all digital, and that way they don't have to distribute with trucks and it all goes over the internet too. And then the file gets delivered to the camera, which has connections on the projector, and it comes off the computer, and the guy that's up there managing the movie, he sets the files there is loaded into all the projectors have whatever movie they're projecting, and in the case of the current film, he has it all in his computer, and it's and I don't know what kind of computer system they use. I mean, it may be as simple as a Mac. It doesn't have to be particularly high powered, because the camera itself, processes the digital file and loads it all. You load the whole film into the camera, and you set time on when it's supposed to be running, and it's just a green light pops up. Let's see how we're doing here with power. Yep. The screen goes. There we go. Amazing. Go here. Right on the screen. Okay, let's get rid of Jimmy here. We're seeing up him. Okay, here's DeSantis, I'm in. So now you got this battle between Trump and DeSantis. See who's going to be. Who's going to be the Republican nominee? I'm looking through these pictures to stimulate some kind of conversation here. Here's we're looking at the Tesla car after it's a Model 3 that's driven 200,000 miles, and the battery degradation is 12%. In other words, the batteries, don't have a forever life. At least the current ones. They probably have a 10-year life. So, when I got the Model Y, the initial the number of miles that you could get out of the battery when new was about 335 miles. I think it published at 336 miles, and that's when you look at the fuel tank, if you will, the battery, and it says full. The energy is all the way up, and it said 335 miles. And then over time, we go up to 330. Then it was 325. So each month it loses a little bit of its ability to deliver miles driven, as far as stored energy. And so right now, a year and a half into driving this car, or 2 years actually, we're 2 years into the car, like this month. In 10 days, in 9 more days, we've had the car 2 years exactly, and we can only fill up the battery, so to speak, to 295 miles. So it's not 330 anymore; it's 295. So we've lost, 30, at least, about 30 miles, 35 miles of range. So that's probably 12% or so, actually. So that's what happens, So at the end of 3 years, you end up with a 285 mile battery. So we lease the car, so we turn it back in. If they can replace or refurbish the battery, that's fine. But that's a big piece of hardware. It costs about $12,000 to replace the battery. I don't think when you turn, I don't know. I don't think when you turn in the Model Y with 290 or about 290 miles of range, that would be, they'd probably resell them, package them up, 100 cars and sell them to Hertz. Hertz just bought, $1 billion worth of, I think it's more, a couple of $1 billion worth of Teslas. And they've delivered them to Hertz. So all over, at least the West Coast and the Western states, Hertz is using electric vehicles. And I can tell you from our standpoint, I've called the service center 2 or 3 times. And I said, I haven't really been in to see you guys because none of the lights, nothing about the car tells me I should go to service. Everything's fine. Tires are fine. He said, well, you can call our guy out there and he'll inspect the car And they have things they plug in to diagnose, the car, uh, which exceeds a little bit of the comprehensiveness of what you get on your computer screen in the car itself. Anyway, so they said, no, you don't need to come in. We'll come out and rotate your tires if you want. So I had an appointment, and I had to cancel it because some important conflict came up. But I may set an appointment anyway to have them come out and look at the tires and look at diagnose the car to see if anything needs to be done. So, over a 2-year period of time, the only costs I've had is, putting, water in the windshield wipers. I always put in distilled water, so it's doesn't have any mineral left over. And anyway, so I've had to put like 3 gallons of distilled water in the car over this last 2 years. That's my cost. There's no oil to do. There's no brakes. Forget it. You're never going to use your brakes because everything is 1-foot pedal driving, and you push down on the accelerator to go faster, and you lift up your foot to brake, and the wheels turn into generators and put energy back in the battery. And I had some software package tell me that we've gained about 13% of our use of the battery gets replaced back into the battery. So in a sense, you can take you have a 300-mile range on your battery and add 13% to it. That's like, another 45 miles. So it's like a 345-mile battery instead of a 300-mile battery because of the regeneration of energy when you lift up on the pedal as opposed to putting your foot on the brake, which basically just turns energy into friction, where if you lift up your pedal, the regeneration braking, which is, relatively serious braking. You lift your foot up, almost all the way, so to speak, and the car really comes to a gradual stop, relatively fast. If you have the proper distance between you and the car in front of you, almost no matter what that car does, let's say with stop and go traffic, the autopilot actually handles all that. It'll stop, it'll go, it'll stop, it'll go. It'll, leave the proper distance between cars when the speed goes up, but it's perfect. It's really quite convenient when you can just watch the stop and go traffic as to having to manipulate your car. The autopilot does all that for you, and it's very good at it. You see some of these crash scenes, and a lot of times that's people, driving too darn fast. They're driving when they have alcohol or some other drug or a combination. There was two people in a Model X, I think it was, that was high speed, and they hit a tree, head on, right smack in the middle. And the forensics people said that there was actually no one in the driver's seat when the car crashed. They had it on autopilot. They thought that, the self-driving, but something happened, and there was no driver in the car. There were 2 people in the back seat, but there was no one in the front seat. And they didn't think the crash, could be that specific to to put people from the front seat to the back seat. Um, if you have a real high-speed crash where someone hits you in the rear, you can imagine the energy would be, to pull the people back, maybe into the back seat, breaking the front seat. Anyway, but a head-on collision, all the energy is going forward. So anybody in the front seat would have head injuries and all that kind of stuff. It's, unthinkable that anyone in the front seat can move to the back seat when it's a frontal, collision, a serious high-speed one. Because all the energy is like forward. How do they go backwards? So they were playing around with each other. And the car is going from here to there, and it was programmed into the computers, and somehow or other, something went haywire, and the car went right into a tree. My guess is the highway changed somewhat. It wasn't a highway; it's like a back street, and it goes, and the roads go around the tree. But this was going so fast it couldn't go around. So they had it set to a speed that couldn't follow the terrain of the traffic. I think that's what the forensics finally came up with. But the self-driving computer is pretty good. It's in beta form, which means it's like in testing form. So people that qualify for the driving have the ability to use the software as a tester, and then you send information into Tesla when something happens. That's an important event. Tesla also automatically takes tracks your car everywhere you go, and see how it behaves just, as you drive in the car, not even engaging, the full self-driving application, which would work on highways. It'll stay perfectly in lanes. It has that capability with the cameras and so forth. The question mark is how is it in city driving? And that's the current activity, is working on, this short driving exercises. I've seen some videos, that have been posted online for people that own Model Ys, for example, and they follow the roads, just fine. The road, the mapping, and the sight, the vision of the three cameras up front, can discern the road and the turns and stop signs. It can read traffic lights and all that kind of stuff. But they've determined that the hardware version 3, that scheme of hardware is not sufficient for the proper safety and with the road safety systems. So they increased all their hardware to 5 million pixels or better, and then a supercomputer that's like 10, 20, 30 times more powerful than the computer that's presently in there, all in that little package, And the software engineers have designed the chip, what I would call the driving chip. It's the chip that actually processes all this data, all the video that's coming in, and it determines, when it should slow down, when it should speed up, is it in the proper lane. That's all controlled with something, and it's this computer actually operates the steering wheel, operates the braking, operates the accelerator. It's all automated if you select that, and that's what that'll continue to be testing until they call it full self-driving without the beta added to it. Because to me, it's alpha. It's not. It should. it's very risky, in my mind, to have the full self-driving operating out in the public. I turned to I qualified for it. I got a very high percentage of the safe driving scores. It's 95, 98, 100 percentile all the time over a period of 30 days. And if you had a certain, accurate level of driving, you could get the full self-driving package to operate, and you'd become a tester. And I did that for about 2 months. And then I turned it off and sent Tesla a letter saying that, it's really not, it should be called alpha. I don't think it should be in the hands of the public. Even what you call qualified drivers. Someday in the future you could do that, but the software has to be, it's too aggressive. When it comes up to a stop behind the car, you're wondering if it's going to stop. The distance between the car and your car is too close, and it brakes too hard. It waits too long, to slow down, to a stop or whatever, a regular stop sign situation. So, the turns were too aggressive, and the stopping was too aggressive. It had, what they call it, a chill.
Rick RPP maintenance.
Let's try this. Hello?
Hi, Mr. Wilson. Jose from maintenance.
Yes.
Do you need 2 filters for your AC?
Ask again?
Do you need 2 filters for your air conditioning?
Yeah, I need air conditioning filter. Yeah.
What else do you need?
I need a fob that operates the elevator.
Okay, Leo. I think and they know that they're looking for one for you, okay?
Yeah, it's like 10 years old. Yeah. And it's fallen
Okay.
up.
Okay, I'm leaving the filters outside for you, okay?
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for calling. There you go. We'll see how that goes on live TV. All right. I've been floating around here talking about gossiping things, and we'll see if the system's working properly. I think it is. And let's see. And we'll say goodnight. So, and there's a switch over here to do that. Yeah. So let's knock off the screen. There we go. Now you can see me in the full screen mode. So we're gonna likely let's see. There we go. There we are. So we're gonna end with our June 1 screen, and we'll say good afternoon. It's about 1:09. I'm in after. It is 1 minute after 9. The exact time. Let me go over to this corner, and we'll say goodnight and have a great. Let's see what's that. We'll turn up the music. Have a great day.